again, challenging integrals, partial fractions, trig substitutions, finding integrals numerically, and improper integrals, and also be able to use the comparison test to determine if an integral converges or diverges. And that'll be about 35 to 40% of the test will be integrals, and then the remainder of the test will be applications of integrals. We spent 2 or 3 days on volume, areas and volumes, by slicing disks, if you do a volume of revolution, volumes of known cross-section. So that is one big application of the integral, is finding volumes. And then we also talked about density, center of mass, work, and the present and future value of money. So all of those applications have to do with trying to find something big by slicing it up into small pieces and then adding them all up, and that makes an integral. So things to know about the test: you can use a scientific calculator, and I have some that you can borrow if you don't have one. You can use your one-page reference sheet that you make yourself. As usual, 8.5 by 11, you can use both sides. Any material written or typed by you, but not a photocopy of someone else's notes or pages from the textbook or your class notes. You can use the reference sheets that I've given you. There's one in the front of this packet about partial fractions and trig substitution. And then I think there was one on U substitution from the last test, and you can bring that if you want. Though U substitution won't explicitly be on this test. So you cannot use a graphing calculator. The test is going to be from 8:30 to like noon. So you can come anytime in there. Come early in that window if you want to have any extra time. You are expected to use calculus and not formulas, obviously not your calculator since you won't have it, to evaluate all integrals, right? So not a table of integrals, not a formula that you memorized from the table of integrals, a calculus technique to evaluate all integrals on the test unless the directions specify otherwise. After the test, you should come prepared on Wednesday, having read 9.1. So all the integrals that I'll give you on the test, you will be able to do without your calculator. And if there's an integral from, say, an application that I would normally say, you know, evaluate this on your calculator because it's ugly, I just won't have you evaluate it. I'll just say, set up an integral that would tell you, you know, how much work it would take to do whatever. You know. All right, any questions about what the test's going to be like? You have 2 study guides at the end of this packet. So the first one has the list of things that you should be able to do. You can use Chapter 7 and Chapter 8 review problems to help you study. And then there are some sample problems. We have Part 1. And then I wanted to point out, though, that in these sample problems, question 5B, you can skip. It is possible to do with the techniques that we've learned, but there's a technique that I skipped and we didn't cover that would make this problem much, much easier. So I wouldn't expect you to do this particular problem with the techniques that we have. So just skip this one. All right, and then you have the answers, and then you have another set of practice problems. So I would strongly encourage you to do both. Do all of the practice problems I've given you, and hopefully there won't be any surprises on the test.